Well, we have a special guest. We're live. We're trying out all the new special guests. We're going to have a whole pool of people to come on the show. Chickenfoot podcast. I'm hosting today. My name is Judah Buddha, and I'm here with Joseph Rowe, Arthur Spooner. Arthur Spooner, and we have a special guest, guys. Our second celebrity, a special guest, but this one is, in the quantum realm. So that's cool. Joseph, how you doing today? Michael,
Paul
Rudd, how are you doing?
Ant-Man.
Great.
It's hard to reach the quantum realm, so
It takes a little delay. So, Judah, I'll go ahead and start us off with the meme of the day. And just so you know, that
was the meme?
That cough is not Corona related.
Hey, we're not supposed to talk about that.
Sorry, all right. Well, one of my stories today is going to be a slight touch on it, but it's not going to be directly related to it.
Okay.
All right, so the meme of the day I have, here it is.
Back to the Future.
Did I share this with you before?
No.
So why does this work? Why does this meme work?
I don't know. I'm afraid a couple of our memes work because it's making fun of like bigger people.
Well, I think part of it exaggerates a few aspects that is Back to the Future, right? So one is the fire that's coming off the scooter because it's scraping the ground. You know what I mean? That's part of the fire that comes out of the. So that's like the cultural aspect. You have to have seen the movie or you would not get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is he has to get up to 55 miles an hour, right?
Oh,
so the idea that he's going fast to cause the sparks on his scooter, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is another one. And then...
Well, and they got the old cars, too. It feels... Yeah.
So it looks like he's from the past. Yeah.
Is this for real?
This is a real photo.
That's good. That's a good meme.
Yeah.
All right. That's interesting. Okay.
I didn't know you could ride a bird scooter that way.
What's that?
I said I didn't know you could modify a bird scooter that way.
Yeah. Back to the Future scooter. Well, that would be like
I've never seen Judah on a scooter before.
That was when he was going back to 88.
What?
Hey, McFly.
All right, so today our special guest, Michael Cedrus, I wanted to bring him on. We had Jay on a couple times, wanted to have a couple people we thought we believe are funny in our lives. And when he first came on, Joseph said, man, has anybody ever told you look like Paul Rudd? So he went back and he changed his name to Paul Rudd. Leave a comment in the section below if you believe he looks like Paul Rudd or not. But I wanted to ask you a few questions, Michael. One is, I've always thought you were funny, but you've always had a real weird sense of humor. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't known you very long, but one thing I've noticed is that your timing is a little slow.
It's because of the quantum realm. The story I have that's in my mind is this time every year at our old church. I know Michael through our old church. And he's just a really good friend I've continued to keep in touch with. But you do like a, what's it called? We do a talent show every year for our church for the Epiphany Feast. And Michael's talent was he came up on stage with a basket full of clothes and folded them. And so I guess he was saying like I forget he had like commentary on it on how like, you know, it was like against sexism or something. He was like a protest against sexism. What, Michael, what was your, you had said something about like, you had something to go along with it, right? Like kind of a commentary or something?
Oh, no, I didn't say anything. I just walked
Oh, that's
up
right.
and
You didn't
started
say
folding laundry.
like dead silent. That's right.
Were you trying to like time it or anything, or you were just sitting there folding?
I was just sitting there folding laundry, and if I was really a courageous comedian, I would have finished the whole basket, but I didn't. And apparently, some people are saying he's not going to just sit there and fold laundry the whole time, is he? So it was very divisive, which was good.
It's kind of Andy Kaufman like, because
yes.
he used to do stuff where like he'll play a record and he'll just stand there and let it go for a little bit for like one aspect of the song that he'll mimic or do something crazy for that 1 second or two of the song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that Michael has very Andy Kaufman. Are you a fan of? You got to be a fan. Okay, yeah. Now,
yeah.
and who are your influences?
I heard Andy Kaufman a few years ago on YouTube. I was like, wow. Oh, Andy Kaufman's probably the main influence.
Okay.
For sure. And then, like a lot of one-liner comedians. Like Stephen Wright. He's a huge influence. Yeah, I have a lot of one-liner dad jokes. Pretty much, once I learned that it's more fun to lean into the joke and lean into taking the oxygen out of the room, then, yeah, that was fun.
That's so. If we were to go to the quadrilateral,
all dad jokes.
Okay,
all dads are my influence.
What were you saying, Joseph?
Well, I'm sure if he's seen our show, we talk about the quadrilateral. So it sounds like culture and tension are like big ones that you kind of lean on, because part of having that tension is the humor, where people are like, wait a minute, especially when you're riding the line of, is this a joke or is this reality? I used to have people say that to me all the time. It's like, I can't tell if you're joking, because I would be sarcastic to almost looking like I'm not being sarcastic when I'm being sarcastic.
Well, it also has to do with there's an aspect of safety. You take away safety, because people feel uncomfortable. Uh-oh, we might have lost him. I think the quantum realm got him.
He's the tension again. Yeah. See, the safety of the security of the podcast going. Nope.
All right. Well, let's see. That's not what I wanted to do. How do I?
Now, it appears that mimes are also a big influence on him.
He's having trouble with the internet. Well, that's interesting. So, I've never really connected with Andy Kaufman, but I find Michael Paul Rudd much more funny than the stuff that I've seen from Andy Kaufman. I think because to me, Mike seems a lot more unassuming, and kind. Like there's more smiling going on.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Andy Kaufman always seemed mean to me.
Yeah. Well, I think Andy Kaufman kind of like really rode the line between if it's real or fake, you know what I mean? And back then, I mean, he's coming up probably the 70s and stuff, and they had insult comics, and so and that was one of his things, is he was like a fake, one of his characters was an insult comic, but he would take it to like the nth degree, so I can see how and that's a tough one, that one was tough because you're really hurting people's feelings, and that's where the line he was trying to ride, I think. But he also is like riding the forefront of it, so it's also kind of new with him. So it might seem more intense when Andy Kaufman does it.
Would you say?
Go ahead,
Michael. Would you say you're different that way, and that you're not as mean as Michael Kaufman, as Andy Kaufman?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he's sort of playing on like the corporate structure of comedy, where you're expected to tell this joke because you play this character on TV, and so he's saying, "I'm not going to do what you're going to tell me to do." And I was explaining what I was doing laundry basket to my son. He got the Andy Kaufman, and my daughter hated it, which was great. It was like two sides. Like my son thought it was hilarious. My daughter was furious. And like just like a lot of comedy is doing what you're not supposed to do and saying what you're not supposed to say, or just looking at the world differently. So if you're going to a comedy show and it's like, all right, I want to go see Jim Gaffigan, and he's going to tell Hot Pockets, like, because that's what he does, because that's his biggest joke. I'm going to go see U2. They're going to play Beautiful Day. And then you go see someone, and like the joke is that I'm not going to do what I'm supposed to do. And, it's really upsetting to some people.
I think also
then,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
And that's, yeah. But then you have some comedians that are just get in the lane and play it safe, and so they don't, venture out beside that. So,
well, it's interesting. When I think of comedy, is that's a profession where, like Andy Kaufman, he's trying to push the limits. He wants to stay sharp as an artist comedian, right?
Yeah.
But other comedians, I can see once they get to a certain point, they're like, look, I don't want to mess with my livelihood. I don't want to risk everything to make fun of a kid in a wheelchair. You know what I mean? They, you know what I'm saying? So I can see how some comedians don't want to push the envelope. They just want to get some laughs, make a living and just be a funny person. And some people are like, well, it's more the craft of it. And the freedom of speech is part of the reason why we have stand-up comedy. You know what I mean? If we didn't have freedom of speech, we probably wouldn't have stand-up comedy. It would be comedy, but it would be, like he was saying, more of a corporate style where it's more scripted, more boxed in, and it wouldn't be we wouldn't have some of the comedians we have today.
Well, that reminds me of just okay. Thank you for working StreamYard. So it that reminds me of what I was talking to Michael earlier about, like influences he had, people he likes, and he mentioned Brian Redband. Do you know who Brian Redband is, Joe?
No, I don't.
I didn't either, and I went back. So Brian Redband is the one who helped make Joe Rogan famous. Like, he is the one who told Joe, he got him involved in podcast. Well, he didn't make him famous. Obviously, Joe Rogan was already quite famous, but he made the podcast persona. You know, he introduced him to podcasting. And I went back and watched him because I was like, why didn't he stay as the producer? And I realized why, because Brian Redband is, it goes exactly to what you're saying. Like, he is not safe at all. The kinds of things he was saying on the podcast was like, just, he would take it to the worst level. He didn't care if it was racist. He didn't care if it was like you're saying, like about a handicapped kid, about the worst, grossest things you can imagine. You know, otherwise it was just like, it made, and you know, because Joe Rogan is not shy, but it made him blush. That kind of stuff.
Well,
would you say that's?
Well, I was going to ask him a question.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. If
Michael, what's like the go-to funny thing that if you were something that's always going to make you laugh? I mean, you said dad jokes, but is there something that you kind of, it doesn't matter if it comes up, it's going to make you laugh?
Yeah, there's you know, like, I don't like a fart joke. Always funny, no matter what.
Can't hear you. You're gonna have to repeat that.
I remember sitting in the movie Up. I said,
I have no idea what you said.
The movie Up.
Okay, he was sitting in the movie Up. Yeah.
And
that was the funniest thing?
It's a pretty serious movie.
Yeah.
I remember being in the theater, and it's, you know, it's a serious emotional movie for a kid's movie.
Yeah.
And there's this one scene where somebody farts, and like the whole theater laughed. And it's just like, no one could hold in their reaction.
See, that's what I always, I told Judah is, like, to me, the very basis of, like, humor, or the very beginning of humor, is just, like, bodily functions. You know what I mean? It's just weird noises, weird smells, you know, from weird places of your body, and then that's, you know, what people find is humorous. Is it's unexpected places in your body that's making noises.
Yeah, I remember, you know, something that cracked me up one time. I was in chapel at Moody, and I was exhausted. I was sitting there with my, and then like, and he just was raising his hand. He's like, "Yes, Jesus, yes, Lord," he just yelling. And I was so tired. Every time he did harder, but I was trying to hold it in. And he's looking at it, and he just keeps punching. My friend kept punching me, and I just, like, for 5, I was just, I mean,
he totally chicken-footed us. he's like, you know, telling the story, it's like ends it, and then they're like, oh man, we got totally Chickenfooted on that one.
Oh, it's too bad that his internet's not working. Maybe he'll come back with it strong. But I think, though, in that case, it wasn't as much. I don't know about a second story. I could barely hear it. But the first story, the fart, you know, in what was it? Up. Was the movie? It was the fart in the movie, or somebody in the movie farted?
In the audience farted, because there's no fart in the movie, and it was probably on just a timed thing, like, you know, like a serious moment or a empty pause. And it reminds me of I went to the movies to see Outbreak, I think it was. It's called Outbreak, and it's got Dustin Hoffman, and it's about like a virus that spreads, and it's got Cuba Gooding Jr. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
And there's a scene in there where people are in the movie and they're coughing, and then the germs just flying. The camera's following the germs. It's landing on people. And we were in the movie theater, and right as that scene was going, I was thinking, oh, this is perfect time. So I stood up and I started coughing, like, because the lady is coughing. She storms out of the movie theater and makes everybody sick, right? So then I did the same thing right after the scene. Like walking out. And then, because I thought it was hilarious, right?
Yeah.
And I come back and my friend's like, dude, you okay? He's like, I was like, no, dude, because like the movie. He's like, what? Like nobody got it. People were irritated because I was coughing too loud. They couldn't hear the movie.
Oh, well, that happened to me today in church. I mean, you said how it was kind of tangentially related to COVID, but like I got a tickle in my throat, and I was like, "There's no way in heck I'm gonna cough," you know, because everybody's gonna, you know, get all worried, and so I just kept holding it and just kind of just breathing. I'm like, church is almost over, and it's like, but like because I held it so much, it came out as like a sneeze cough. It was worse than if I just like, it was like. And everybody looked at me. I was like, "Oh man!" It's gotten to the point where my youngest, or one of my youngest, Genevieve, if she has to, like today, she had a cough. She told Chanda she wanted to go to the bathroom, take her to the bathroom so she could cough. She was just worried, like she didn't want anybody to think, you know.
You know, when I was in seminary, the president of the school his house was near where the dorm was. You could walk over there, and he would do like a Bible study once a week. And, you know, a lot of students would go, you know, because it's the president. And he had, I think they're called Doberman Pinschers. Are they the ones, the black ones with the sharp ears and they have the small tail. And so he had a Doberman Pinscher. And
who is this?
The president of the school from seminary.
Okay.
And this is a big dog. And we were all sitting there, and it was during the Bible study, and there would be some prayer back and forth. And me and my friend Brian sat in the back, you know, and the dog would, you know, he'd walk in, he'd walk out, and the dog was just passing gas. And it was so rank. It was so bad. My friend thought it was me at first, because I was closest to the door, and the dog would just poke his head in and apparently let one go and then leave. And I was like, dude, that's not me. Because he goes, hey, come on. This is not the time to do that. I was like, it's not me, man. It's not me. I mean, it was like gagging, you know what I mean? Like, it was like visceral. Like, you could almost feel it. It was so bad. And the dog would just come in, and sometimes he would make a noise. It'd be like, like you would hear something, and it was so gross. But and everyone else was kind of gagged. I was crying because I was trying not to laugh, because, you know, one, it's already disgusting, right?
Yeah.
And I already think it's funny in a situation, and then you're not supposed to be laughing because this is not only like a normal situation, but it's even a more serious situation because what everybody is doing. So I'm just like trying to hold it in. I'm biting the inside of my mouth so I wouldn't laugh. Like I was trying to keep me from laughing.
That's hilarious.
All right, so I have a story, and it's better to tell it this week than wait because so the last time the last time we met was right before Christmas, right?
Yeah.
So with all the coronavirus going on, I basically just order stuff online and had it sent.
Okay.
Right. And so the story has to do with my Christmas fails this year.
Uh-oh.
So the first one is, I don't know if I told you or not, but my brother came down with the coronavirus.
Okay.
And so he found out because the symptoms he had was he couldn't taste anything and he couldn't smell anything.
Yeah, that's dead giveaway.
And I sent him steaks for Christmas. I was like, man, they weren't cheap either. I want my money back. So then I was thinking, what am I going to get my mom? So I saw this sweater or this blanket as an ad on Facebook. And it was like this thick, chunky, soft blanket. That you could sit and keep you warm and everything. And I had to order it from overseas, which that should have been a red flag already. Okay. So I order a normal blanket size, right? This is the size that she got. So if half of her is cold, she can kind of warm up. I mean, look at all the gaps in the thing. So she can warm up her body. Like she might be able to wear it over her head and stay warm.
I don't even think that would help, dude. It's like that thing. I think my daughter could knit a better thing than that. Like, I know my daughter could.
Man, I paid I think $80 for that. There's definitely no returning on that one.
Oh man.
Yeah. I totally.
And then by the way, I really appreciate you the gift you gave me, but you ended up making me pay for it.
Yeah. So that's a gift I got for everybody.
Yeah, that's right. You paid something for this for the some of the program. Joseph thought he was paying for it. I get like a notification. What the heck? I thought I canceled that.
Yeah. For anyone, instead of beating around the bush, Judah and I talked about a couple of weeks ago saying that the podcast that we're doing, if we want to keep all the things, having video clips and pictures up and all that, you have to pay for a subscription.
Yeah.
And so, he was like, well, I'm going to let it lapse. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do something nice. I'm going to pay for the year subscription. So I go to pay for it and it doesn't prompt me for my credit card information. So I was like, wait a minute. Uh-oh. And then Judah gets on and he's like, I thought I turned this thing off. I was trying to pay for it as a gift. And it turns out that Judah paid for it. So my gift to the world is to use
it's for me
bank account. Access to Judah's bank account. So,
oh, that's good. Trying to think if I have any stories like that. I mean, I have so many times you get a subscription and